guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. And today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Together We Rot by Skyla Arndt. The first book I have for you is called Spit Back the Bones by Tegan Olivia King. It's been 3 years since Mila Thomas's brother Jed went missing, and his case went cold. Since then, Mila has fled town, running from the voices of the dead that reach her from the depths of the old family bog, afraid she would hear her brothers among them. But when her younger sister Agatha calls her back home to celebrate her graduation, Mila can't help but return to her old haunts. When she arrives, Mila comes face to face with the town reverend, who informs her that Agatha is now also missing. Finding her mother and the local police utterly useless, Mila opens herself up to the voices of the bog and hopes that they can tell her where her sister is. But something else lurks beneath the bog's waters, something that would sooner hunt her than help her. As more bodies turn up on the sandy shores, Mila must overcome her complicated history with the Reverend's estranged son, the boy she never quite got over, to unearth the fate of the town's missing members and the family secrets that may be behind everything. The second book I have for you is called 13 Ways to Midnight by Rue Volley. 16-year-old Echo Navari, daughter of the world-famous archaeologists Alice and Peter Navari, has spent her life traveling from one expedition to the next as her parents unearth lost civilizations. On their 13th dig, Midnight, Echo's twin sister, disappears without a trace. This prompts a year-long search that leaves the family nearly broken. In an attempt to find some closure, they reluctantly host a mock funeral for Midnight without ever recovering her remains. Nearing the 1-year anniversary of Midnight's assumed death, Echo is sent to live with her eccentric Aunt Luna, who is the caretaker of the centuries-old Navari estate in Port Royal, Maine. Echo attempts to settle into her new life in Port Royal, but soon finds that she's destined for adventure as the mystery of her family's history, the sunless town, and its oddly intriguing people teeter on the supernatural. The next book I have for you is called All of Us Murderers by K.J. Charles. When Zeb Wickham is summoned to a wealthy relative's remote Gothic manor, he is horrified to find all the people he least wants to see in the world: his estranged brother, his sneering cousin, and his bitter ex-lover Gideon Gray. Things couldn't possibly get worse. Then the master of the house announces the true purpose of the gathering. He intends to leave the vast family fortune to whoever marries his young ward, setting off a violent scramble for her hand. Zeb wants no part of his greedy family, but when he tries to leave, the way is barred. The walls of Lackaday House are high, and the gates firmly locked. As the Dartmoor mist rolls in, there's no way out, and something unnatural may be watching them from the house's shadowy depths. Fear and paranoia ramping ever higher, Zeb has nowhere to turn but to the man who once held his heart. As the gaslight flickers and terror takes hold, can two warring lovers reunite, uncover the murderous mystery of Lackaday House, and live to tell the tale? And the last book I have for you is called Grave Matter by Karina Halley. Grad student Sydney Denick is getting a second chance. When a dream opportunity presents itself with a prestigious foundation doing promising Alzheimer's research, Sydney leaves the shambles of her old life to join a dozen other students at an isolated lodge hidden away in a remote, fog-shrouded inlet on Vancouver Island. But the Mandrana Foundation harbors more than brilliant minds. Everyone around her is hiding a terrible secret, including the resident psychologist she's falling in love with. A student disappears, and no one but Sydney seems to care. Ghosts walk the halls. Snow falls in the middle of summer. Dead animals move like the living. The more Sydney uncovers about the Foundation, the more she begins to question her own sanity. And if Sydney isn't going mad, then the horrors in the surrounding forest are real, and the Madrona Foundation may be the biggest monster of all. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.